maybe the most exciting team in hockey. The Edmonton Oilers are dynamic in the regular season, can score a ton of goals. But the one big question for the Oilers, who are unquestionably a playoff team, how do they go from a playoff team to a cup contender?
Strengthen the blue line. Listen, I love Darnell Nurse, but I think if you add players that can defend a little bit better, add some offense if you can look at that area, and spread it out. Be a little bit deeper in your defensive group. I think that would be significant for the Edmonton Oilers. Not only do I think it would be significant, I think that's the only area they need to look into. Their goaltending is settled in really nicely. We know how great 97 and 29 are. And the balance they have up front, that's something they didn't have in previous years. They certainly have that now. But the blue line, strengthening that, and perhaps there's two players that they have to get. But when you look at the Edmonton Oilers and you look at how wide open the West is with no clear front runner, the Edmonton Oilers are positioned to do exactly that. And if they can do that, they might put themselves at the top of the heap with respect to Stanley Cup contenders in the West.
Absolutely, and I'm going to say it. Erik Karlsson. Like, that's the kind of guy you need. They need a guy who can be a dynamic difference maker for this team. And why not swing for the fences? Yes, if you're going to go get a Karlsson or go get a Chychrun, it's going to cost you a lot in assets and dollars and prospects and picks. But you don't have McDavid and Draisaitl forever. Their contracts are going to run out in the next couple of years. And the West is ripe for the taking right now. And for Erik Karlsson, I look at a guy who doesn't need to help them offensively, doesn't need to drive the power play, because the power play is already one of the best power plays we've seen in the last 40 years. Where he will help them is at 5-on-5. With San Jose, Craig, Erik Karlsson's a plus 16 goal differential. When he's not on the ice at 5-on-5, San Jose's minus 34. It entirely flips because he's out there. That's what, amazingly enough, the Edmonton Oilers need. They're only plus 7 at 5-on-5 with a goal differential. You put Erik Karlsson out there, whether it's with McDavid, Draisaitl, or the third or fourth line, he makes everyone better, and he's having a good year defensively as well. I think Ken Holland talks about dollar in, dollar out, the difficulty to make moves, not wanting to mortgage the future. I want to mortgage the future. I want a Stanley Cup. I want to give these two guys, McDavid and Draisaitl, and the rest of the group, the best chance to win a cup in a year where they could absolutely get to the cup final with a pretty not impossible path, we'll call it. So I think being very aggressive for that defenseman, Craig, is what they need to do.
Well, you know, we talk about the future and everybody talks about what you might have to give up. I believe strongly that not strengthening this team, the price is far greater to not help this team and not be bold and not be aggressive than holding on for something that might help you in 2, 3, 4 years' time. I'm talking about first-round draft picks. Yes, they have some prospects. They don't have any elite prospects in their system. They have players that they're counting on playing. But when we look back at Ken Holland's history in Detroit, he knows the importance of an impact defenseman at 5-on-5. One of the greatest ever, Nick Lidstrom, helped them win 4 Stanley Cups. And when you talk about Erik Karlsson, you talk about 5-on-5 play, that's exactly what Ken Holland has had success with. He knows the importance of an impact defenseman, and Erik Karlsson is exactly that.
The good news for Oiler fans and the Edmonton Oilers is that they don't have that many needs. We're not talking about the forwards. We're feeling pretty good about the goaltenders. It's really talking about finding someone who can play in the top 4 and drive play, maybe finding someone with a little more heft that can play in the bottom pair, and then that's it. And then take your chances, because if they do that, Craig, I would put them as the favorite to come out of the Western Conference to the Stanley Cup final. Now, they'll be the underdog when they get there, but they'll be the favorite out of the West to get there if they're able to make these kind of impact moves.
Well, I'll take being an underdog with 97, 29, and if it's Erik Karlsson and the balance they have up front, I'll take that. And I think Edmonton Oilers fans would take that as well.